The following program is a real estate and mortgage show and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised. Good evening and welcome to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts, Randy and Jackie Rodney, right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board, send us an email. Our email address is yourhomeyourmoney101@gmail.com. And now, right to your hosts of Your Home, Your Money, Randy and Jackie Rodney.
Hello, y'all.
Hi, y'all.
Yeah,
How
we're
is
like-
everybody doing?
We are surfing right now and found out that Butterbean didn't train for his fight and won.
Who's Butterbean?
And
Who the hell's Butterbean?
Butterbean, the boxer.
Who's heard
Yeah,
of
he's a big, huge.
Butterbean?
huge guy.
That's his name, Butterbean.
Butterbean, yeah.
That's one tough Butterbean.
Yeah, he is. He would kill me. He'd kill me. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't think a lot of people would kill me, but he would.
Was he on Jackass? Is that the same guy?
You know what? I haven't watched. I've only watched one or two of them.
Because there's a big bald guy. He must weigh like 400 pounds.
That
That
looks
could
like
be
that
him.
could be him. He doesn't look like he's a muscle man.
No.
No, he's not a muscle man, but he's strong as hell. So like, let's
Hey,
not.
hey, hey!
let's not
What's with
discount
the
him.
noise? Anyways, I was reading this article, but I didn't get all the way through because my husband kept bugging
What do you
me.
mean you didn't get all the way through it? You read the headline.
I was trying to.
I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing.
Such a son of a, you know what?
So you want me to do my headline?
Son of a mother trucker. Well, it says Canadian mortgage delinquencies rise, but largely boosted by Toronto, which, you know, based on the prices in Vancouver, I would have thought possibly Vancouver might have a lot more delinquencies.
Yeah, that's possible too.
Sorry.
Yeah. Toronto
But
and
it says
Vancouver.
that Toronto is leading the
leading the way.
delinquencies
We're
in the
leading
first
the way.
quarter. That was in the first quarter.
And that's the first quarter of this year. It's going to get worse, people. Like, we are leading up to the pinnacle, which is next year. So, you know, that's just the way it is. And for the people who are in problems, well, I would suggest get out now. They're not going to get better in the next year. It's going to get worse.
Or hang on to it for another 3 years.
Oh, if you can hang on for 5 years, like renew your mortgage for 5 years, hang out for 5 years, and then see where we're at then. And but if you're coming due this year or next year, you're coming due in the worst possible time. We tell our buyers, take your time and purchase. You got a good year. You're in that trough. You're in that, you know how they say you want to buy low, sell high? Well, buying low, you're almost there. It's this year or next year is the low, or the year after, we're not sure. But that trough is somewhere in here. We are here. And so typically speaking, it's fluke to buy at the lowest point and sell at the highest point. That's fluke. But I can tell you, you're in the fluky zone, okay?
This guy says, which this guy's way out to lunch, I think so, is comment on this better dwelling, right, about the mortgage delinquencies. He says, how are people even defaulting in this environment? My understanding, and Van, your understanding is a little whack, I think, is every bank has been ordered to bend backwards to prevent this, extending amortizations to infinity and recognizing purchase prices as the value for mortgages. It sounds like you legitimately have to try to default and refuse to talk to your lender for this to happen.
Okay, that is a fair comment. However, you're about 6 months behind. Like, that's not the way it is now. It's the way it was 6 months, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's not like that now. Okay, so, you're a little bit behind. Your philosophies are correct, but it's not like that now. The banks aren't saying, "Oh, you can't pay. We'll lower the amount." That's old news. That's not the way it is now. You can't pay, well, get out. That's the way it is now. So it's not anywhere near as easy as you're thinking. Whoever your name was. Van. But I do understand you are right that, during COVID, it was definitely, during the latter part, just after COVID, there was some consideration. Justin Trudeau was in power. That was one of the nice things that he did, because typically our government supports corporations and they will bail them out, but they won't bail out the public. But Justin Trudeau, as much as he did so many things incredibly wrong, that was one of the things that I thought was very sensitive of him, was to start to support the general public. And I was in favor of that, even though, unfortunately, that helps to stabilize pricing. Which is not necessarily a good thing when prices are overvalued, but at the same time, we have a human compassion element to it, and and that made front page news. What else, babes?
This guy says a lot of rural properties are also falling behind out there in the Maritimes. Mostly people who moved to the country, then had to go back to the office, and are now trying to carry the cost of two places.
Yeah, that was a really interesting one. I'm not really sure how you couldn't see that one coming, though. Like, you're going to work every day, back and forth, doing the grind, sitting in traffic, just having a hell of a time. And then all of a sudden, you're not allowed to go to work. You have to work from home. There's a pandemic going on. And so you figure you're going to wrap up your house and move 2, 3, 4, 5 hours away from your work? And you think that life's going to stay like that forever? I would say that was a bad call. I would just say I feel bad for you, but I just think that that's a really bad call. And any clients that told us about that, it was like, yeah, I think you're only thinking about now. What about when now is not now anymore? And so, we didn't have anybody who did that. But the people who did do that, they will now sort of pay that price. They're either going to have to leave their jobs and hope for another job that doesn't care if they ever see them and they can work from home, or they go in the 2, 3, 4 times a week, that the jobs are slowly trying to bring the people back, because they're realizing that productivity, the hyper productivity when you're not at work, is not working. Okay, and what's really interesting is that we all think that you can just work virtually. But there is something that happens when human beings gather. That's pretty much how we've done some incredible things, landed people on the moon. We didn't do it by having scientists not communicating with each other. So I'm going to have to say that we're going to see more and more push for businesses to have human interaction, human relationships.
You think? But everybody's moving virtual.
Well, it depends what you mean by everybody, sweetheart.
Well, a lot of people are moving virtual because it's
Okay.
more cost effective, no? For a lot
It
of different
depends.
things, depending on, yes, what you want. But typically, if you have virtual, you just pay when you need them.
Okay.
As in, when you have somebody on salary, you're paying them whether you need them or not.
Yeah. So I
So
think
how is that going to be more face to face?
I think there's an application for virtual. And I don't think that's the full application of business, but it's certainly a portion. And so you can section off a portion of your work schedule to be virtual.
Because-
But I don't think that you can have your entire business, depending
No,
on
I
the
don't
business.
mean your entire
work that
business,
way.
but like you
Certainly
think about
retail
it,
stores and
right?
they'll work
More
that way.
retail people are now putting in the, the self checkouts. I mean, some of them, what was it in Toronto? Was it Loblaws or one of them was testing the carts that actually tallies your groceries as you put them in, like. Because
Yeah,
it's more
and where is
cost
that?
effective, so people
But
are
where is
losing
that?
their jobs.
Have you seen any? Because I don't go shopping,
Okay.
so I don't care. But have
I
you?
didn't
have
see
you
them. I told you
seen-
there was a store downtown Toronto, and I thought it was Loblaws that was doing it,
Yeah.
that had them. Anyways, Frank
So,
says,
so they're testing it.
yeah, I'm going to look it up when you talk to Frank. Frank says, so the market is still effed.
Yeah. That would be my answer to Frank. Yes, Frank. The market is still effed. And it's going to be like that for another year, Frank, at least. At least, well, we're in the month of July, so I would say that we have another 14, 15 months of effedness. And, but if I have to be positive, this is a great market for buyers, right? It's an ultimate. It's actually probably one of the best buyers markets we've ever seen in history. And the reason being is because, typically speaking, you could argue that the prices of homes are high, but we are going to see them go higher. It's just not going to happen in the next 15 months. But after that, it doesn't matter what you do. A 2x6 is still going to cost you almost $8. And that's it. You're not getting away from that. So if you're going to build a house, with the bag of insulation costs you $75 to do 35 square feet or whatever. And then, you've got all these costs, your screws, your nails, all of them, those prices have gone crazy. You've got delivery charges, or you got to use your time. These costs aren't going to go down. It's really fascinating, but when we see inflation, like what our government tried to pretend was at 8%, but when we see inflation go to 8%, and then they're over the period of the year able to get it to go down to 2%, it doesn't mean that prices went down. It just means they're climbing slower. They're climbing 4 times slower than they were a year ago. They were climbing 4 times faster. And 8% that our government said was 8%, the rest of us felt 30%. I had a family, and I mentioned this the other day, that went to Jamaica for 6 months, came back, went grocery shopping. They definitely experiencing a 30% increase in the last 6 months, whereas the rest of us haven't really felt that because we're
they
just
slowly
in it.
creep it up.
Yeah, so we're in it. We're not, we're just trying to cope with it, but we're not seeing it.
But I
necessarily.
feel too, by the way, it's Sobeys in Oakville that had these carts.
Okay. great.
Anyways,
One store.
I feel, and I've experienced this, and I'm not going to say any names, that fast food places are really, quality of their food is going down, because now when you have, I guess, cut up food that you don't sell, your kind of a less anxious to throw it out, and you'll put it back in the fridge and use it on your orders the next day. And yeah, so it's kind of scary eating out these days.
Yeah.
So think about that one, right? Who's regulating their kitchens? Who's going in and seeing the food quality? Who's going in to see, I think I'm going to stop eating out.
Not me.
Well, I don't know.
That evil look.
I just got like cold shivers thinking about, I don't know. It's scary. But think about it. Why? Just think about it. How do you know what you're getting on your food is fresh? Figure that one out. Some of these things, and then for people, my daughter told me the other day, because my daughter's always on, I'm thinking she's doing silliness, but she's actually researching a lot of stuff, my youngest one. She told me the other day that she was watching this video article, whatever, that was saying that, and I didn't realize this, because sometimes I don't know, you can call it lazy, I'm too tired, so I buy cheese grated, I buy whatever, right? And she said that there was more bacteria and contaminants in all this fruit and vegetables that they pre-cut and sell for more expensive.
Yeah, because they're taking
But I never
them back
thought
off
about
the
it.
shelves
But I never
and
thought about
selling
it like
to
that.
the dumb people. Oh, sorry. I mean to people like yourself.
No, that's not true. I don't think you're taking it off to. No,
They
I don't
are.
think it, because some of
That's
it.
what they're doing, Jack. They're
Anyways,
going to the shelf,
I never
taking the
related
stuff.
it like that. I would just be like, okay, I'm too tired. I can't cut up all this stuff, so I'd grab it. But now I'm really grossed out now by the stuff I've been buying. And,
Poison in your family.
feeding.
You wonder why we're all a little slow.
well, you're a little
'Cause
slow
you've
anyways.
been
but
poisoning us.
You're a little slow anyways.
It's not that funny.
Tim says, hoping any homes that you are selling, they have central air. Stay cool. Well, actually, no. The one.
Thank you, Tim.
One of
I
the
am
last
very
ones
cool.
that my clients bought did not have air conditioning, but they don't mind that.
We're sweaters.
I could not live without air conditioning. I actually had to get. I find it's really cold on the first level of our house. I don't know how many other people experience this. And then on the upper level, it just doesn't get as cold. Hot air rises, right? So I had to buy these things off Amazon that are boosters that you put in your registers, and they have fans on them. And you plug them in, and they fan. I thought, okay, I'm going to try one to see. And on Amazon, if you buy it, you try it for like an hour, you don't like it, something like that. Well, hey, I'm returning it. It didn't work as you said it would. Those things are good. There's sometimes in our room I have to turn it off to actually, I'm so cold, which I've never experienced that in the summer upstairs in our house before.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us. Would you like to
It was
share
a
anything
very
else?
good idea that I had, and they're called boosters. They're really cool. And Donna says, anyways, just for what you said, Donna said, good points, Jackie. Thanks for the info.
I
See?
think
Some
she's just
people
trying to be
know
nice.
a good thing when they hear it.
She's just trying to be nice.
No, but I'm just thinking though, like, and as as because we experienced something really nasty a week ago, and it just made me think, like, yeah, why would they throw out their leftover food if they can make more profit by putting it back in the fridge and putting it on? And if they're cooking it in with stuff, how would you ever know?
Because you will get a microphone glass and look at it.
My daughter did.
So, I don't think you can talk
My-
about those things.
No, but my daughter picks everything apart.
And you didn't do anything after that. You said you're going to make
Oh, I
a
did.
deal.
I did. I
No,
called
you
twice
called.
about it. I called their head office. I've called twice.
Did you send them pictures, or you just?
I froze it because I told them, you know what, I'm going to take it to the health department and let the health department
yeah,
deal with them.
Karen. Whatever.
What do you mean? How is
You're
that
not-
a Karen?
You're not doing nothing.
How is that a Karen? How's that a Karen?
Just saying. It is a Karen.
You're feeding me nasty food that I paid for.
See?
And then when
Karen,
I go-
this is the Karen part.
Then
here.
when I go tell
when
you,
your face gets
then
really
when I
big.
go and I bring it to you and I show you and I tell you, you try to tell me it's something else.
It is something else. You got a problem in your house. You got some kind of problem.
Really?
I guess so. All right, Karen. He should have called. He should have said Karen. And the funny thing is, you didn't even go and talk to him. You sent someone else, and you're talking all big on show like you're.
I was not going to go back to the store. I said, you don't even go back to the store because who the hell are they? They're just workers. They don't give a crap. Who are they? They don't care. They're just getting paid to serve food.
It's a good point. You got anything positive to say? I'm sure I keep bugging you. Yeah, this is how we live. Canada's real estate becomes a buyer's market.
Canada's fiscal picture is looking cloudy. A deficit may hit 80 billion. BMO says says this year.
Yeah.
But we're still, sending money outside of Canada, helping people.
Well, right now, I don't know if that's happening much. They've tariffed everybody, so nobody can send anything. Canada's real estate becomes a buyer's market as homes are most affordable. For the last 3 years, they're saying. So what's
That is true.
what's making homes affordable is the prices have come down
And more
and
inventory.
the interest rates have also are very, very low traditionally, and so the combination of the two makes it a pretty interesting marketplace for buyers, not so much for sellers. And
Well, you know what, though? The one way I've been showing, I usually work with a lot of sellers, but I've been out with a few buyers the last few weeks. And some things, I'm going to turn this down, it's a little loud in my ear. Some houses, like I showed 2 weeks ago, and I still have those agents calling me back, like, oh, is your client interested? Do they, and it was one, we put an offer in on, they refused it. A week later, they called us back and asked for the same offer, but my client had moved on. And she called me again after that and said, hey, we're going to getting ready to do a price, reduction. Is your client, do they want to come back, to blah, 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 for the offer that they refused in the beginning. And I've got that a lot because then I showed, maybe a week or so ago, I went and viewed a house again for my client who went to an open house and saw it. And that was over a week ago. And they were interested in it. But, I gave them my opinion when I went in. I said, yeah, it's a great home. The price is good for the area. It was in the west end of Toronto. And, but I said, it needs a little bit of work. Probably more cleaning than anything. But the backyard was very tiny. And on top of it being tiny, they interlocked the whole thing. Her husband wants to have some garden space. He likes gardening. So they were really set on this place. And I said, is this really going to work for your husband? Because this yard's really tiny. And then, I said to her, talking to the agent, I found out that, which I absolutely fell in love with the seller right off the get-go, because she actually feeds the feral cats in the area. And you go in her backyard and she's got about 7 different cat food dishes, water. There's 3 cats laying down in the shade under a tree. And they don't come in the house or anything, but they come there because she feeds them, which, bless her heart, I think that's amazing. But I had to say to my client, which the realtor said to me, oh, don't worry, the lady is going to be taking the cats with her, but they're feral cats that don't even come in. So I don't know how you're going to take them when you leave. But I had to mention to my client, on top of the fact that there's really no garden space for your husband, to do his little bit of gardening that he enjoys. But you may have an issue with some feral cats if it's not something that you want to deal with. That could be coming to your backyard quite often looking for food, because I don't know how many cats she's feeding. I don't know how she's taking all these feral cats with her when she leaves. How the hell would she even know?
Well, like,
But-
how mad are these cats going to be when the next person isn't feeding them?
Well, I don't know. Like, they were feral cats are a little different, because when I went out in the backyard, you know me, oh, you're so cute. There's 3 of them. As soon as I stepped out, they were lying in the shade very lazily. They jumped up, hopped the fence, and they were gone. But it's just, I don't know. Sometimes
Did
there's
you have a BB gun in your hand?
hell no.
Okay, just checking.
The hell? I'd be feeding them too if it was me. You know, I mean, if it wasn't for
They would know the difference between you and I. Because I don't, if they're not paying rent, I don't want them hanging out in the backyard.
Your animals don't pay rent.
It's different. Because you beat me into submission with those ones. But
Oh,
these-
did you all hear that? I beat him into submission.
So this gentleman bought.
Don
a-
says, go for it, Jackie, sue their ass. Well, it wasn't so much suing so much as I wanted them to know that this is disgusting, and you need to go check on that restaurant and see what the heck is going on, and maybe you need to be monitoring your chain stores a little better than what you are. Irene says, in the news, there are now 15,000 homeless people in Toronto, 7,000 on the streets.
Why is this a surprise? We you know, like.
It's not, she's not saying it's a surprise, it's just the numbers keep growing.
Of course.
That
And-
based on the fact that nobody's doing anything to help them.
Come on, man. We've talked about this on the show. You have people who work at Tim Hortons or those fast food places, and they're homeless, and they've got a job. This is not new.
And you notice more,
This is the last year and a half that actually people with jobs are homeless.
and you notice
so-
more and more now when you go to like the dollar stores, the Tim Hortons or whatever, there's just more and more older people working, which is sad. Like there's this one guy, he's a lovely guy, a little bit serious, but he's nice. I think he's really tired. He's older, and he works in one of the grocery stores. He works in the, ready-made food. And we were joking one day, because, I go in there quite a bit, and he's like, I was retired. He said, I retired 2 years ago, but here I am, working again. So, and I mean, he's probably close to 70. And, he said, yeah, he did retire, but then he had to go back to work.
Yeah, because his wife,
She beats him like I beat you. Yeah.
poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy. Yeah. But what's this I see?
I want
about
to
some,
talk about this. This is not real estate. This is a Cybertruck owner. It's went from a Ford F-150 to a Tesla, and he said it's like going from a typewriter to a laptop. He said, but he did say that getting the automatic driving is not worth the extra money for him. But I will tell you, I have a new car and I have my old car. My new car, my daughter bought for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to afford to buy it. But she could afford to buy it, so she bought it for us. And I will be honest, so it's a Kia?
It's a Kia.
X4 or something.
Kia K4,
K4,
plus
whatever.
something, I don't know.
Something, whatever. It's a Kia. It's
And your other car is a Porsche.
Yeah, and the other one's a Porsche Panamera, right? And
Porsche Panamera's been sitting in the driveway quite a bit.
what's interesting is the Kia is a better drive. Like the Kia, you can get in it and you can think about other things. The car stays on the
I
road.
don't know if that's such a great thing.
It just is. It just is what it is. What happens is, so in real estate for many years, I've learned to drive with my knees. I'm sure many of you out there who drive for a living, you've learned the same thing. Your hands are busy or whatever, and many people would be disgusted by it that don't understand. But for those of you who do understand, we tend to multitask because if you're spending 8 hours in the car, you've got more work than that to do, so you're doing multiple things at once.
Well, we spend
I
a
know
lot of
you're
time
not
in our
supposed
car,
to,
too.
but that's the way it is. So the thing is, with the new cars, you press two buttons. One button identifies the road and identifies all the cars around it. And the other button says, hey, stay on the road, stay in my lane. Know when cars are slowing down, know when they're speeding up, know what's going on behind you, know what's going on beside you, and take care of all of that. And it's like, what the heck is this? It is quite an experience. So you push these two buttons and, well, you're still watching the road. However, the car is a better driver than you. And it's just that simple. And the car takes over and handles things. You got to have your hand on the steering wheel. But if you have to, or if you're doing something else other than driving, and I know many people say, oh, that's disgusting, you shouldn't be doing nothing in driving. Okay, whatever. I've done it my whole life, so I hear what you're saying. Even I haven't been in accidents, so. And for those of you who'd be so disgusted because you've been in 3 accidents and you're watching the road. So the thing is, these buttons actually are absolutely amazing. And that's with a, I don't know, $30,000-$40,000 car. Always claiming 30, I don't know. Absolutely amazing. It's a pleasure to drive. It is so much safer to drive that car than any car I've ever owned. And I've always owned high-end cars.
But that's because of technology.
The technology has changed. However,
technology is not a dinosaur anymore.
yeah, it's a, yeah. So I'm like totally impressed with and this is not even a self-drive car. It's just a car that understands the road. If you're sitting at a light and the car ahead of you moves forward, it lets you know that car has moved forward. If there's a car pulling up behind you, it puts a red flashing on your mirror and on your dashboard to let you know, don't change lanes on that side of the car. And it's just really kind of an incredible experience that I just can't, I almost can't believe it. And then when we go in our daughter's car, which is a Tesla, that's a whole different experience because it actually shows you if there's pylons on the road, it shows you pylons. If there are people, it shows you people. If there are cars, it shows you cars. Trucks, shows you trucks. It's unbelievable that it senses all of that stuff. We're pulling out of our driveway and there'll be a car 15 houses up. And our car will give us a warning that we're backing onto a street that a car is coming from 15 houses away. There was a time when I tend to, if I am, I mean, I've been driving for many, many, many years. I got my license when I was 16 out in the country. So, and then I took young drivers. So I understand defensive driving, constantly watching my mirrors. I tend to push certain limits. And so if I know the car in front of me is slowing down, I won't slam on my brakes. I will just slow down to that point. But the car did not like how I was slowing down. It felt that it wanted to slow down faster. So it jammed on the brakes. It was like, what the heck was that? The car superseded my
thinking?
Yeah, but I know I was correct. I didn't need to slam on the brakes. I've been driving for enough years to know that. But it was really fascinating to know that the car had its own ideas and it actually slammed on the brakes. And so yeah, I love the new cars and the new technology that they have.
Ooh.
And so I think that
there's something coming from you because you don't like new anything. You like to buy everything used.
Yeah, but it's just so comfortable to know that when you're out driving, that there are more minds controlling the situation. There's my mind, which I think is pretty good when it comes to driving. But then there's the car's mind, which has a whole new set of parameters, much stricter than mine. And it's fascinating. I love the new cars. I love the Kia K4, K something.
Plus something, I don't know,
K4
yeah.
Plus. That's an amazing, amazing car to get for a birthday
I
gift.
like the gas, man.
Yeah, the
Like
gas is
50 to
incredible,
60
too.
bucks fills
To
up the
fill
tank
up, yeah.
on like 120 for the Porsche.
Yeah,
It's
or
much,
more probably
yeah,
now.
probably, yeah. It's
But we just don't drive
that's
it much.
really, really nice. Andrew says Musk is starting a new U.S. political party,
Oh, hey.
and it's going to
I
be
have
called
no
the
idea.
Cyber Party. No, I'm kidding.
So, yeah, there was some kind of breakup there. You know what? I really haven't been following a lot of what's going on in American politics right now. I'm just sort of waiting to see what's going to happen between Canada and the United States, because I'm really torn. I would love to have a prime minister like Donald Trump, who thinks about
In some
Canada
ways,
first.
in some ways.
In most actually. And I think it's a real shame that all of my black friends hate him and can't even stay in the room if we're going to have a conversation about him.
What? Really?
But yeah, not all. Just
You just said all, though.
95%.
But you
like
said all.
95%. But at the same time, I really like the fact that he is looking after the United States first. And I saw a video the other day where there was a protest in the street, and so they were talking to the people who were protesting, and the people who were protesting were saying stuff like, he's a bigot, he's a racist, he's a this. And he's doing everything for himself. He's just stealing from the country, and he's getting rid of all the immigrants and even the legal ones and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, hold on a second. What makes him a racist? Well, you should just look it up. And it's like, well, there's so many great things that he's done for people that is a ridiculous statement. It's only the media has really done a really good job at making him out to be a villain. They've done an amazing job over the last 8 years of totally negatively hitting him. And I am actually totally shocked that the American people listened to that rhetoric for 8 years and still voted him in. I think that's amazing. And I'm actually really proud of the American citizens for doing that. And then here we are in Canada having a Liberal Party that goes and totally puts us on the verge of bankruptcy, and we vote them back in. It's like, so, it's an interesting juxtaposition going on. But I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with this whole tariff negotiations. And I guess we'll see what happens. What's really important to me is that our government understands that it's really important to have interest rates in such a position that it allows the Canadian dream to be alive, which right now I would say it's on life support.
Yes, I was just going to say, don't say it's 50-50, because it's not.
It's on life support. I honestly believe that our government, if they so choose, that they could isolate the real estate industry, for buyers who are buying one home. They could moderate the interest rates so that you could allow Canadians to continue to have the dream of home ownership, because many Canadians are very distraught with it, and very few young people believe that dream exists.
Well, it's discouraging,
And
right? It's
their
discouraging.
parents are having a hard time with it too. And we also hear it with many of our viewers, just totally distraught. Our philosophy, formal philosophy on that is to try not to be distraught, try to find a way to fight through the maze and find a way to not let go of the dream, because life will not be as good for you or your family if you throw that dream away. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that, but I am saying it's possible. And we have a couple of people that can help with that dream. We have one, and you can go to your financial advisor. If you don't have one, get one and begin to start to coordinate your life in such a way that it coordinates with government incentives that are going on and maximize those. If you don't have a mortgage broker or specialist, as a friend,
I
get
would
one.
honestly say, have like one, what you're talking about, have a broker. Don't just go to the bank you always work with. Why?
No.
Why? When you can have the option of so much more than just that one bank. To me, it doesn't. I know as you get older, you kind of stick with what you know and what you're comfortable with. But in these cases, don't get comfortable. Go out there, shop around, have somebody looking at everything for you.
Well, if you
And mortgage brokers, they're trained to know how to put your paperwork together in the best suitable way, and which bank accepts what kind of job, income, whatever, where the best places to go to get the most for you. So to me, a mortgage broker is invaluable.
Yeah. So if you're going to your bank, it's good to have a relationship with your bank. But I will tell you, go in and see the mortgage person who's for the bank there. The next time you go in, they probably won't even be there. So that's the problem with with your bank, is that that's a junior position within your bank, but it's really important for your entire life. So having a mortgage broker or a mortgage specialist, somebody who dedicates their lives to that industry, not just someone in the bank who's using it as a stepping stone to work through their system, their banking system.
And I have to say, I've got to give a shout out to our mortgage manager. Anybody that we've sent his way absolutely loves him. Think he's compassionate. He really listens. He really takes the transaction from one end, follows it, makes sure everything is going as the transaction goes. And that's what you want. You want somebody, when you look for someone like that, you want somebody that's going to follow the transaction that you're doing with your mortgage to make sure that everything is on target, that everything is, the paperwork's in, this is in, your porthole is being updated with all the essential things in it. And I think, because you get some people that, they just like some realtors, they do the deal and then they're gone, right? They don't care. They don't follow it any more than that. They're gone to the next one. So I think it's really important who you pick. But then I want to say quickly, Beth says tariffs. What tariffs? Not affecting me.
Oh, okay. If you don't believe tariffs are affecting you, it's because you're not following them. They're in many different parts of our lives. If you're to speak to the owners of the businesses, they will tell you what the extra tariffs are on the products that you're purchasing. They're there. It's just that they're not made front and center, because it would be too confusing for us to go out into a store and say, okay, I want to buy this phone. Oh, that phone costs $943, but you also have HST of this amount and tariffs of this amount and this of this amount and this of this amount. It's too confusing, so they just add it all into one
Blankets.
price. And so that's why you may not be seeing that. But
The new party, Jim, sorry, I keep buttoning because I want to get through the emails. Jim says, yes, Musk made it official. The new party is called the American Party. Millions are registering for it. Musk is putting millions into it. He has a lot of bipartisan support since he left Trump.
Cool. Over 130 tents set up on Barrie beaches over the weekend, despite ban law, bylaw
Over the
ban.
weekend.
Over the weekend, despite bylaw ban. So, I mean, well, what are you going to do? It is what it is. What was this other one? Oh, here. Why are Torontonians quietly making a move to Durham region? Well, that's really obvious. The price point as you go east has traditionally been cheaper, and here's what has really happened. So you have central Toronto where you're going to have like the highest price point. And then as you go west and north, what they did is they developed west first. So they developed all of the jobs in manufacturing and in the west. And so people moved to the west for their jobs. And then they developed north and malls and more wealthier people. They kind of developed pretty nice homes going north, and people were moving north. East was the last consideration. But now that there is a shortage of properties, now it's not really only about, well, where is my job or where is the fancy homes, is what's the proximity to the heartbeat of employment. And so the eastern area is the lower price point, most economical price point for the GTA, and so that's where the transactions are really, dominating the industry currently. So Eastern Toronto, and then going outside of Toronto into the Greater Toronto area, into the Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa, Bowmanville. We're starting to see Port Perry and all that to really climb. Also, the cottage areas, what's going on there? They're actually, now is actually maybe a really, really good time to invest in a.
If you can.
if that's what your dream is, and if you can, because it's expensive to buy today, but cottage prices have been coming down like crazy. And so
Yeah, they're hurting right now.
and that is a dream that won't go away. But what is going away is that upper middle class. That's going away, but the dream won't go away. And so having that will be an elite home. To be able to have something on the water, proximity to your home.
Man, who doesn't want that?
Yeah, that's going to be something, that's going to be a dream that's going to be really hard to squash regardless of price point. So it'll just morph itself into a different way of a purchase, I believe. And so that's what we're kind of seeing on our front here.
I was reading an article the other day that said that real estate right now, and you were around then. I started in the later part of the 90s, but you started in the later part of the 80s. I was saying that right now the market is pretty much like when it was really bad in the 90s.
Yeah. Right now, yes, I would say that we're going through that. So what's really kind of interesting is that, when we went through in 2020 and 2021 being the peak, people were saying, oh, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. 2021 died, 2022 is dead, 2023 is deader, 2024 is deader, 2025 is deader. Now, this is 1989, 1990, 91, 92, 93. Next year is going to be 1994. So it is the crash of the late 80s, early 90s. This is the crash of then. And we have weathered several years of it already, and we've got at least one more year, guaranteed one more year to weather this, regardless of all the crap you're hearing on the news or from any of your realtor friends that want you to buy something. It's not true. The market is declining. However, it may be okay to buy if it's right for you, if the timing is right for you, and you have a long-term vision. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, but the prediction even a while back was that it's going to be 26, 27 before things really start to kind of get back to somewhat of a normality.
Okay.
Or whatever you want to
Yeah,
say,
I mean-
leveling out, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's kind of, yeah.
Here's someone quit their job to travel the world. Living on a low-end cruise ships is cheaper than paying rent. 'Cause you get
Yeah,
your food
yeah, a lot of
included.
seniors do that, yeah. You can see that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Could see that quite a bit, yeah. Sorry.
Sorry about what?
No, I was answering a text, sorry. Yeah, so I don't know. See, real estate affordability near the 90s bubble and Toronto crash.
It is.
This crash has been going on for quite a few years
Yeah,
now.
it has, and so we could be pulling out of it, next year, and well, after next year, the year after, we could be pulling out of it, or we could be really at the bottom of the trough. But we have been seeing a consistent decline in the average price month over month, and so we're certainly not at the bottom, but at any point we've seen some stabilization for a period of time and then a further drop. So I think I would bet anything that we're going to have a further decline next year, just based on the 5-year cycles, So for those of you who are, if you're planning on buying, it's good to be looking between now and next year, get familiar, look for your deals, because every now and then a deal right now is just too good to be true. I mean, I know Jackie has found customers deals that will weather, like, an $800,000 3-unit triplex, that's an amazing price. If you don't buy it now, you're not going to get it next week, next month, or even next year. So there are some great deals out there for buyers, but buyers, you should hold tight and make sure you're getting a great deal if that's what you're looking to do, because they will pop up. But have some patience, because if the great deal doesn't come, just sit back and wait. Yeah. So what's going on, babes?
Sorry, what else is going on? I don't
Oh,
know.
okay, well, I was just trying to give you
Most
some time.
Canadians permanently leaving are fleeing Ontario and BC. Statistics Canada saw one of the biggest outflows on record in the first quarter of this year.
So June sales are down 2.4%. New listings are up 7.7%. So what that's really meaning is that new listings are coming on faster than sales, and sales are actually declining. But the active inventory is 30% more than last year. So with 30% more inventory, new listings coming on at a positive over 7%, and sales declining at 2%, that's a downward pressure on price, to the point where the average price has declined 5.4%, which means on a $100,000 home, it means you've lost $54,000 on it, and we are going to see a further decline on that, I believe, next year. The average days on market is still holding pretty good. We're still at around 40 days, but that is very uncomfortable for sellers, because 40 days is the average days for it to sell. If you're not priced right, then you're actually not going to sell, because the number of sales is like 6,000, but the number of active listings is like 31,000. So if 6,000 homes have sold, that means there's going to be 24,000 homes that didn't sell, which means that 4 out of 5 homes are not going to sell, and 1 out of the 5 will. So, and that one will take about 42 days.
And that's why I would say as well, is if you're out there looking, when your realtor's got you set up the program on Realm that you can just constantly see stuff flowing in, have a look at the days on market. A days on market, I think, is really important when
It
you're
can help.
looking to get a deal or something. I mean, somebody's been on the market a week, they're not so inclined
Yeah.
to give you a
They're
good
not ready.
reduction. But, over 30 days, 60 days, sometimes you can squeeze
Yep.
in a little deal there, especially if, you got a good closing, give them a
Yep.
really good deposit so they know you're
Yep.
serious. Stuff like that, little things to look for, so you're not wasting your own time going out and, thinking, oh, well, look, I can probably get it for this price when it's been on the market a day.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think your realtor
Yeah.
will help you to understand
Yeah.
these things, but they're very, very important. So if you're out there and you're hitting the newest homes that are coming onto the market, you're going to need to be very flexible and not necessarily looking for the deal. But if you're looking for the deal, then you need to have a little more patience and be doing it the way in which my wife is saying, and studying the market a little bit
Yeah,
more.
and don't be scared. Like, I have so many buyer clients that say to me, oh, but I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to, one again yesterday, remember? And I'm like, you're not wasting my time. Like, if we go out and we see, 10, 12 homes, whatever, but you're like, oh, I'm not really ready to buy yet. It doesn't matter to me. To me, I think it's important that you get out there and you look at some homes and kind of get a feel for what's going on in the market, because sometimes that will tell you, this is not really the time for me to buy because look at what's going on out there. I can't really find anything out of these 12 homes that I like at the price I can afford. So don't be scared to say to your realtor, hey, you know what, I'd like to, get ahead of it a little bit and go out and see a few homes and see what's going on. I think it's so important that you do that. But I know a lot of people feel like they're wasting the realtor's time. But, as realtors, that's what we're there for. We're there to help you, and it's never a waste of time if it's giving you any kind of education or knowledge on what's going on out there. And I think it's very important. Like, I had a client on the weekend. I showed them 3 condos. They're like, oh, we like this one. We want to do an offer. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Let's sit back. New client, hadn't set them up on Realm. All they did was send me some stuff that they got off Realtor.ca, and I said, okay, we're going to go home. I'm going to set you up on Realm. I want you to go in when you have a minute. I want you to see everything that's out there in this area. See if there's any other possibilities of something you think you might like before I want to do this offer for you, which I know is kind of backwards.
No, it's
but-
not backwards. It's
Well,
actually...
if somebody says, I want to do an offer on this, a realtor doesn't typically say to you, no, let's look at more houses.
it depends.
Right?
It really depends. And in their
Yeah. Oh, we're out of
situation...
time.
Yep, we're out of time. But in their situation, it really is not backwards. I understand why you're saying
Yeah.
that, because you're saying that the listeners may say, well, if I want to put in an offer, like what kind of realtor are you? However, there's so much more to consider. Is that the best price in the neighborhood for you? Like, are we just trying to sell your home, or are we trying to get you the best possible deal? And then, hold on, you've got a home to sell too. What are the parameters around that? Do you really want to be in a position where you've bought a home and you're trying to sell yours and you got a 1 in 5 chance of selling? These are complicated
important.
issues. And so we definitely want to approach all the potential situations. My wife is hogged all the time, so we're out of
I got
time,
one
so
more
we're gonna
email
go.
that I want to say before we go. So Tommy says, this was a very good show tonight with lots of great topics. Thanks for the info. Enjoy your week. Tommy, have a great week.
Thank you, Tom.
And
next
take us
week-
out, Randy.
Next week, we won't allow Jackie to talk so much. So
That's
we can
okay.
get more,
Anthony's back next week, so yeah.
So thank you for joining us. It's your home, your money, and our lives on realityradio101.com. Bye for now.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts Randy and Jackie Rodney right here on Reality Radio 101.